Ted, it's getting close to net time here. W3MMR from AJ1G.
W3PWW.
Hi, there's Ted. I'll turn it over to you 1 sec here, Ted. I just switched rigs here, so let me make sure everything's tuned up. All right. You know, that's what I love about this DX100, man. It's always right where I left it. Every time I come on, I always tune it up, check the grid and the plate. It's always right exactly where I left it. That's why I love this old bucket of bolts. And listen on the old Hammerline HG140X. You might switch over to the NC303 at some point, but nevertheless. Good morning, Ted. Over to you. W3PWW here in the pre-net, and then send it down to Dan, KD4UMU. W3PWW, W3MMR.
Yeah, good morning, Peg. Morning, Chris. Nice signals in here this morning. Sounds like good conditions again this weekend. On the T368 North 398 again. Signals seem to be very good. Well over into the 50, 60, 70 range on the receiver here. Not calibrated meter, but to get 70 on this thing, it takes a pretty strong signal. And what I've been hearing so far, it looks like everybody's around that range. So on the T368 D104 mic, inverted V antenna up about 40 feet in the center. And that's what we're doing here this morning. Perry, I guess goes back to you. W3MMR and the group W3PWW.
Yeah, I'll pick it up real quick and I'll send it back down to Dan. KD4UMU. I don't know where my father went. I'll text him, see if he fell asleep in his chair. Or he might have went to 40 meters to go talk to some of his Australian friends for a minute, and he'll be back, I'm sure, at some point. But nevertheless, good morning to you today. Great signals all the way around here this morning. You guys got the carrier level meter here on the Hammerline HG140 buried to the right-hand side. I had to adjust the sensitivity and bring it down a little bit so I don't break my meter. So you guys are sounding real good there. Just on the DX100, started out on the Anon this morning, and figured I'd come over on the old bucket of bolts for the net here, so I sure do love this rig. But I think I'm ready for rig number 2, for transmitter number 2 at some point. Once I get done with a double balanced tuner I'm building, I'm just waiting on a vacuum capacitor for that. It's coming from overseas, so it should be here in a week or two. Once I'm done that, I think I'm going to try my luck at externally modulating and boat anchor rigs. So we'll see what happens, but nevertheless, it's all fun. It's a great hobby, and I sure do love every bit of it. Down to you, Dan. KD4UMU, the old military radio pre-net, W3MMR.
W2SDR.
And Happy Frank in there. W2SDR. I'll send it to you, Frank. And I guess when you get done with here, Frank, send it around to Chris, AJ1G. And I think it goes back around to 10 from that point. And yeah, looks like I guess it's about the hours when Ted will crank up the old military radio net. But yeah, very good on the removal noise here, Chris. You know, it really all depends on where I drive. You know, sometimes I can see that background noise just come up. You know, 9 and 10S units. Just very, very bad noises down in the middle of towns, around cities, close into cities with high power lines and all that kind of stuff. That
when I get out on the interstate, it's not too awfully bad. But, because, I'm just away from power lines and houses and things like that. But when I get down in the middle of town, the noise floor comes way up. And I do notice also that some vehicles produce quite a bit of RF noise with their computer systems. Firing fuel injectors and sensors and the whole 9 yards. Some vehicles have multiple computer systems on different things. Now mine just has two, one to run the engine and the other for the body control. So I've got two separate computer systems in this vehicle I have. But you certainly notice quite a bit of noise coming out of the vehicles when you get close to you. So I'm quite happy when they come around and just move on down the roads, get away from me. And what I can hear pretty good again on HF. The only thing that I had to do on mine as far as noise going down the road was I had to ground my exhaust system. I was getting some pretty good little rushing noise on 40 meters, and I just grounded the tailpipe, and that went away. So I didn't have to do a whole lot of body bonding and stuff like that, like a lot of guys have with their vehicles. But I don't know, maybe these newer vehicles, they've got them shielded pretty good anyway. So, anywho, speaking of fuel injectors, that's what I'm doing with my Trailblazer. I'm running kind of operating slow and sticking open, but it was running a real rich condition. And now I say that, but I had to go through and actually learn how to work on vehicles again, if you can imagine that. With these new computers, with the OBD2 systems and the like, you've got to understand what short-term and long-term fuel trims and what voltages you're reading off of your O2 sensors, and you've got to correlate all that data to get you pointed in the right direction on what to do. So, mine was pushing and leaning towards the fuel injector. So had my son come over last night, and we got the intake and all that pulled off of it, and got the fuel rails pulled off with the injectors. So it's all apart right now. So today will be assembly day, putting it all back together. And I certainly hope that fixes the issues I was having with the rich condition. And that's usually just the opposite of what most people get when they have troubles with their with these newer type engines. They usually get a vacuum leak somewhere, and of course that's just the whole other way. And the computer tries to compensate by adding more fuel. But like I say, it was a learning curve there, that's for sure. And Barry, you're talking about those knobs always being in the same place where you left them on the DX100, and that's usually the case over here, except for when my grandson comes in. That boy is just menace to the max. If there's a knob to be turned, he's on it, man. And you got to keep a close eye on him, because he'll keep them radios in the back of his mind no matter where he's at in the house, and when nobody's watching, he'll come back in here, boy, he's a twisting on knob. So, but I fully expect him to do it. Anyway, with that, around to you there, Frank, W2SDR in the group from KD4UNU, and I guess this will be my final before the net kicks in there. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, okay, Dan. Good morning, and good morning, Perry, and Chris. I guess I turn it to Chris. Yeah, I just saw from 40 meters, talking to a couple of buddies of mine on sideband, and worked a couple of European stations. A foundation station, a 10-watt guy over there, which was pretty cool. On 7140, I didn't even hear him, because I had my verticals phased the other way. But Perry knows how those verticals work. I phased them towards Europe, and man, there's lots of Europeans coming in now on 40 meters. The band's pretty well open to Europe. 2E0VBE. So that's a foundation station over there, one of their low license classes. And let me see. Got 33 degrees here. And I'm in the shack this morning on the regular operating position. So, yeah. One thing I noticed with this
About the Lord Jesus
mouse, computer, Perry, there's something that runs in the background on this, because if I don't touch the mouse or touch anything with the computer, I'm running between 4 and 6% CPU. After about 30 seconds or 40 seconds, something like that, the CPU percentage goes up into the mid to upper teens, almost 20%. All I have to do is touch the mouse or push to talk, any kind of computer activity, and it drops down to low single digits again. So it does something when it's at rest. Now, I don't know whether that's antivirus looking or what, but something happens after about 30 seconds of being idle. I've been searching on the computer to see if I can find what could be causing that. Not that it's a problem. I just like to know what it is. So, over to you, Chris. I hope you're copying this morning. AJ1G, W2SDR in the group.
Yeah, W2SDR, AJ1G. Okay, Frank. Yeah, I was wondering what you meant by foundation station, but I guess that's like their novice class. I've heard some of those call signs on occasion. Whoa, something doesn't look right here. What? Oh, my carrier level's way down. Whoa, now it's too much. And now it's just like in Goldilocks, just right. Okay, very good, Frank. Oh yeah, the scope looks much better now. I tend to rinse over the 20A exciter is to my right and somewhat behind me, and I'm using the function switch for the push to talk, so to speak. And sometimes I'll reach over and I'll grab the carrier level knob right next. Well, it's not quite next to the function switch, but I'll end up cranking the carrier down. So that's what was going on. I was wondering what the heck was going on there. Probably sounded pretty ratty. Yeah, I'm running the D104 straight in, as per your advisement, and I'm liking how it looks and liking how it sounds. It's doing, and thanks. Oh man, that damn carrier is the pot is kind of sensitive, and power level was creeping up there, and I was looking a little compressed, and now I'm back to normal here. Yeah, I'm real happy with how this thing is sounding now. I may do the JFET source follower mod to stick a JFET in there with a high impedance resistor, maybe get a little bit of lows up and see what happens. But yeah, both you and Perry comments that when I'm running the external audio change, especially in the low frequency, you're hearing some distortion. And when I started listening carefully, I could hear it too. So decided to abandon that path for a while, although Larry NE1S said that, keep an eye on the clock here, Larry NE1S said one of the things you can do these 20As is to feed external audio directly into the balance modulator and bypassing all the internal audio stages, and you can get some very nice audio out of these things. So I'll probably go do that.
Here's the number.
So, okay on the DXing down there, and I didn't know you want these verticals. I'm going to go to vertical in here myself. We got a tree guy coming out, and he's helped me in the past getting halyards up into trees and things like that. And I got a spot picked out where I can drop a full-size 40-meter vertical over a fairly large open area. I can run radials in or above, which I'll probably start with a couple of elevated radials and see how it plays overall. But that'll be coming up the next couple of weeks. We were going to do it Tuesday, but we ended up with 6 inches of snow, so that wasn't going to really work safety-wise. Anyhow, let's see. I think I'll turn it over to Perry, and maybe you got time for a quick one, and then Ted's going to pick up the net. I'm going to head up and make some coffee. Ted, please get me into rotation. I'll listen on the iPhone to see if my turn's coming up. W3MMR in the pre-net for the old military radio net, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day edition, AJ1G.
AJ1G in the old military radio pre-net, W3MMR. Oh, that's right, Chris. It is Pearl Harbor Day. So I guess it's fitting that we have the old military radio net on. So a lot of guys run World War II gear on here. So that's pretty cool. How about that? Didn't even think about that. I sent you a text, Pop. I'll get right over to you, Ted, here in a second. Just want to make a quick comment. Keep Task Manager open and enlarged so you can see, a lot of what's going on. And you probably won't be able to see it all the tasks that are running in the background, but and to see, if you can, see anything that gains percentage in that when the CPU percentage goes up. So that would be my only take from that. But I'll do some research online as well. DX100, I switched over to the NC303 receiver, and boy, oh boy, this thing's a lot wider than that HQ140. Everybody brightened way up, but also brought in some of the stations on either side. So there's a give and a take on everything in this world. W3PWW to take over the net. W3MMR.
Good morning, KD3HT.
Okay. Here, KD3HT on there. I'll put him on the list. Okay, I have AJ1G, W3MMR, KD4UMU, W2SDR, and KD3HT. So far, I guess that's the rotation will be the first for the first round here. Calling you a military radio net, calling you a military radio net, calling you a military radio net. This stuff meets every Saturday morning at 0500 hours on about 3885. Smelling on with a T360HC and receiving with an R390A. You don't have to have military equipment to check in, just an interest in that subject. Net control this morning, W3PWW, Whiskey 3, Papa Whiskey, located near Hanover, PA. Looks like you have 5 stations so far, AJ1G, W3MMR, KD4UMU, W2SDR, KD3HT. Anyone else for the net? Please call now. Okay, nothing heard, so that's going to be the rotation. AJ1G, W3MMR, KD4UMU, W2SDR, and KD3HT, then back to net control. Chris, great signal. Everybody's well above the 50 mark here on the receiver, pushing some pushing 70. So that's a very nice mix of signals this morning, and all of them 100% copy. Chris, up to you. AJ1G, W3PWW, and the old military radio net. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Ted. W3PWW and the old military radio net, AJ1G, Chris in Stonington, Connecticut. And we have very good band conditions this morning, very low noise. I have not heard a static crash hardly at all this morning. It's in band is very, very good shape. And everyone is just strapping right in here. I was hoping to have the ART-13 on here for Pearl Harbor Day, but found out one of the pair of batteries I float across the output of the 60 amp military DC supply. One of them every cell went negative as far as I can tell. I saw 0 volts on the voltmeter on the PP7773, and that's usually a bad sign that the batteries were left connected across the supply, and that's unfortunately what I did. I guess the last time I ran it, I forgot to open a disconnect link between the 2 batteries to prevent them from discharging back into the power supply with some bleeder resistors in there, and unfortunately it did, and it did it to the point I've never seen it before. It's two like garden tractor batteries, and one of them was down, just 10 volts. It was discharged, but not, probably recoverable. But the other one, it seems like every cell went negative, because when I looked at the voltages across the individual batteries, one was plus 10 with normal polarity of the test leads, and the other one with normal polarity of test leads was minus 10. It was like every cell went negative. We had, complete cell reversal in there somehow. So it's time for a new set. Unfortunately, they're not very expensive, and they do the job. But I am, for military radio consistency, running my EH Scott SLRN, which I think I've mentioned I've had 55 years now. It was given to me by my granddad on Thanksgiving Day, 1964. I've got that in a receive lineup, and also of course, the Central Electronics 20A and 600L is what I'm transmitting on. That has a good old T21R5 as the foundation of the VFO, which all of those radios at the time ran. In fact, they marketed a VFO 458, which was a factory converted by Central Electronics command set in a matching cabinet for the 20A. Mine is just a converted with a do-it-yourself conversion kit supplied by the factory, but it's the original case. It still looks like a command set transmitter. So I hope we have a good net. Perry, you're sounding very good. Frank, you're sounding very good. Steve, you're strong as well. Ted, you're really strapping. So over to you, Perry. W3MMR in the old military radio net, AJ1G.
AJ1G, excuse me, the old military radio net, W3MMR. Well, good morning, everyone. Name here is Perry, Pop Echo Romeo, Romeo Yankee, as all of you know. But for the SWLs out there, and the call is Whiskey 3 Mike Romeo, located in Chester, Pennsylvania, 7 miles southwest of Philadelphia. Running a restored and modified Heathkit DX100 with a D104 transmitter, or D104 microphone on the transmitter this morning. And receiving on a National NC303 that's been restored as well. With the matching NTS 2 speaker that has also been restored. So everybody's sounding real good here on southeastern Pennsylvania. Everybody's 30 over plus, 30 over S9 plus here into the National this morning. And everybody sounds absolutely phenomenal here on Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 2019. And not too much going on here, just dealing with a cold, and I've been dealing with for a few days. Woke up with a sore throat this morning, and but the coffee seems to be helping out with that a bit. So if I sound a little hoarse and a little grumbly, that's the reason. We have 32.4 degrees here at the QTH this morning. A little chilly outside, but that's December weather here in Pennsylvania for you. And not too much going on this weekend. Just got to work today, and my son is coming up for the holidays. Just found out that yesterday just ordered his plane ticket. He's going to be flying up by himself. He's 8 years old, so he'll be. I'm sure he'll love that, to be on a little adventure by himself. His mother just drops him off at the gate there in Charleston, South Carolina, and he'll fly up here to Philadelphia International, where I'll meet him at the gate and pick him up, and he'll be here for 5 days. So I'm really looking forward to that. I only get to see him 2 or 3 times a year, so it's going to be a great holiday, and the holiday season is definitely complete. So we're definitely looking forward to that. So anyway, I turn it over to you, Dan, and you've been sounding good up here all morning as well. Thank you for WMU, the old military radio, W3MMR.
All right, very good there, Perry. And yeah, everybody's sounding real nice down here. This is real Kentucky this morning. And we're going to be quite busy this morning trying to get my vehicle put back together. Yanked the fuel injectors out of it. I had one in there that was acting up, so instead of trying to figure out which 1, 2, or 3 was acting up, I'm just going to replace them all. They're not that expensive. So, you know, in learning about this particular engine, everything is different. You know, working on some of the older OBD2 vehicles, I think in 1996 is when they started that, and that was the first year they come out with it. And my Buick Roadmaster has that on it. And that's really not too terribly difficult to work on, but everything you think you would have on a later model vehicle would be the same as, well, it's just not the case. They're always upgrading and changing all of the sensors and the like on these motors, you know. They don't have a fuel pressure regulator on the rail. It's got a pulse width modulated I guess regulator in the tank back there next to the fuel pump, so just one line in to the fuel rail. That did hold 60 everything's different, and not a fuel filter one in that line. So they're doing things differently now. And of course, with the newer vehicles coming out, of course, everybody's just now getting into with O2 sensors or oxygen sensors in the exhaust tube, and they're changing those to air-fuel mixture monitor. So, you know, they're always changing, always making it a little more difficult for the backyard mechanics. But, yeah, you take these vehicles 10 to 20 years old, and people are just starting to try to figure those out. Well, they come out and, with a whole different mix of difficulties for trying to work on those things. But I don't know, maybe they'll move in the right direction one of these days, so that if you do have a component fail, the system will be smart enough to say, give you a flash or text on the dashboard to say, hey, you just had this component here, he's out of spec, needs to be replaced, and that would make it easy. Just go buy one, stick it on your gun. That's certainly not the way the OBD2 systems are nowadays, but you know, like you got to understand short-term, long-term fuel trends and O2 sensor voltages and what all that means, you know, so but anywho, I'm relearning on how to work on vehicles, so that's what we got. That's what we got planned today. Is get back out there and maybe put that thing back together. All right, nice big signals down here this morning. So Frank, here she comes, W2SDR from KD4UMU.
1, 2.
Okay, Dan, KD4UMU and the group, W2SDR. Well, everyone's coming in very well here this morning. Good signals, good quiet conditions, 33 degrees here in Salem County, southern New Jersey. Yeah, my grandson will be coming up around the holidays. It's always, that'll be nice this Christmas season. Just going through my computer here, shutting off unnecessary services, which is a task for the new computer. So going through a few issues here, seeing what I could come up with. Fine on the auto computer repairs and stuff there, Dan. Ted, you're 20 over here this morning. Very nice signal. This will be my one and out. So we'll say 7-3. I'll listen here for a few minutes and then move off. So thanks for letting me into the old military radio net this morning. So let me get it over to Steve. And up to you there, Steve. KD3HT and the old military radio net, W2SDR.
Yeah, very good, Frank. Good morning, everybody. As everybody's noted, great signals this morning. And Yeah, can't really complain about that. Nice and quiet band, and yeah, it's interesting, the noise level. I've been watching it, and it, moves around, but this morning it's not the lowest I've seen, but still very nice and quiet. So good morning to everybody, and temperature up here is 25 degrees, but most of the ice and the snow is melted yesterday, thankfully. I don't know if it all fell off the roof yet. Most of the roof, the new metal roof here, and waiting to see what that's like, and you hear these big booms once in a while. Not sure what it's hitting. But the ice guards hold it up a pretty long time. So radio-wise, running the same old here with the T368C, and listening on the Airs by HF Plus SDR receiver. And it's been a decent week. Kind of cold, it never really warmed up well this week. The snow we had last weekend and early in the week, it wasn't much. It was more ice than snow, but kind of stuck around till the end of the week. So glad it's gone, and if we don't have any for a while, that's a wonderful thing. Although I hope that there's snow after your grandson arrives, Perry, and he gets to maybe play in the snow a bit and know how 8-year-olds are. And we just had my grandson here for, your son, Frank's grandson, had my grandson here for a week, or just a little bit less than a week. And it's always great seeing him, and we'll see him next at Christmas as well. And had my other son's son over here yesterday or the day before? The day before. And he was a little cranky, but he's likes to do his own thing. Unless you give him food, then he's real happy with you. He's only 2. So it's amazing watching these guys grow. So hope that you have a lovely time with him, and I'm sure you will. So, but everybody's nice and strong here. So, yeah, Pearl Harbor Day today, and shame that there was a shooting at the base there, and this thing down in Pensacola happened. Well, you just got to move forward, that's all. So, Ted, hopefully you're doing well. You sound great. And look forward to hearing you through this great conditions here on the net. W3PWW in the old military radio net, KD3HT.
Okay, Steve, very good. KD3HT, W3PWW, military radio net. Good all around. Signals very good. Chris, just a little bit of fading on your signal, but okay on your battery problems up there. That's rather strange. Don't think I've ever seen that in the many car, truck, and tractor batteries that I've seen over the years. Usually, that's not a problem. I think a rather strange battery we ran into back when we were farming was an 8-volt battery. All the tractors we had at the time had a 6-volt battery in, but I don't remember where I saw it, but it was an 8-volt battery, I guess, probably for the more cranky type of 6-volt vehicles that were hard to start in the wintertime. But I would think you'd have to set the voltage regulator and everything to charge a battery like that. But yeah, it was rather strange looking. It had 4 cells in it instead of the normal 3. Anyway, that's a little piece of useless information. Anyway, yeah, I remember the Pearl Harbor attack. I would have been 10, I guess, and I was homesick, laying on a couch listening to the old 4-mile filter radio sitting over in the corner, and I don't remember what I was listening to, but of course they broke in and said, you know, to have the news of the attack. Yeah, I was homesick. I was always sick. All little kids were sick then. One person got the cold and everybody got it, so. Anyway, I think my first thought was, where in the heck is Pearl Harbor? Don't think I've ever heard of it before. But then after that, I guess there was a flurry of news people coming on, and that went on pretty much for most of the day. I think the main thing that you heard around, at least around where I live, was anger. Everybody was really ticked off at that, and a lot of the guys were trying to find out how they could get in the service and fight. And of course, many of them did. Anyway, it was I guess kind of a scary time. I think everybody was expecting the Japs to bomb California, probably. I know that was the thought. At least out on the West Coast it was. But anyway, that's what we remember of it. And it was quite a, I guess, exciting, worrisome 4 years, 41 to 45. And remember VJ Day and VE Day and VJ Day. That was great. I know that was a very happy time in the community. We had quite a number of people in the service, and all the houses had the Blue Star, or unfortunately a Gold Star on the window. Let the community know that they had people in the military. Anyway, that's a way to remember of it. I think every small business, like there are a lot of machine shops around, and people who do machine work. I know the one kid that I was running around with, his dad made signs for advertising, and a few months later he was making wooden boxes for radio equipment. So some of those boxes that we see now probably originated in a factory like that. Okay, enough of that. All signals great, and at this point I'll stand by for more check-ins. Anyone else out there for the old military radio, please call now.
or Kilowatt Boston 3 Red Eye Radio.
Kilowatt Delta 2 Foxtrot Oscar KD2FO.
Victor Yankee 2 Whiskey with
PT4GZQ.
BY2WW
1JUJ. November Rock Golf Tiger.
Okay, I have KK4GZQ. WA1JUJ. And I had some bubbles on there. I heard VY2WW on here also. VY2WW. And KK4GZQ. WA1JUJ. The other ones were kind of doubles, so spread them out a little bit, guys, and give me the rest of the calls, please. Over.
Kilowatt Delta 2, Foxtrot Oscar, November 8, Uniform, Lima, November.
Okay, copy.
Kilowatt Boston 3.
Anyone else?
Red Hot Radio Tech JB3RHR.
Station just called in. Give me your call again, please. I heard KD3. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Kilowatt Boston 3, Red Hot Radio.
Okay, KB3RHR. Anyone else, over?
Kilowatt Delta 2, Foxtrot Oscar, Kilowatt Delta 2, Foxtrot Oscar, LN.
Okay, I got KD2FO. That's one of the ones I got. I heard another station also. Go ahead and give me another call, please. Over.
November 8, Uniform, Lima, November, NAULN.
Yeah, I got you, Jim. I have KD2FO, PY2WW, KK4GZQ, W1JUJ, NAULN, and KB3RHR. Anyone else, over?
I have a relay, Ted. Ernie was in there, N1GTY.
Okay, I'm sure I'll be able to hear Ernie okay. N1GTY on frequency. Okay, I'm KD2FO, VY2WW, KK4GZQ, WA1JUJ, NAULN, KB3RHR, and N1GTY. Is that all of them, or is there anybody else, over?
Somebody on sideband.
Quebec Radio Foxtrot, we are on AM, over.
Give me a call again, over.
There's a guy on sideband, but we're on AM, bud.
Okay, let me pick up the ones that I'm hearing real well, and then I'll stand by at the end of that list and see if I can get the rest of them here. KD2FO, VY2WW, KK4GZQ, WA1JUJ, NAULN, KB3RHR, and N1GTY. And I'll stand by again after that list and see who else we can pick up. KD2FO, W3PWW, go ahead.
W3PWW, good morning to you and the old military radio net. This is KD2FO. When apparently you had acknowledged me early on, and I didn't hear you do that. I apologize for trying to get in there a couple of extra times, I think. So good morning all the way around, and your signal, apparently this band is short enough, even though it's dawn as yet, because I'm hearing your signal really well, about 20 over 9 here. And so I was up early for once, and I thought I would get on and see what propagation was, and apparently it's very favorable. Running my old Globe King 500A here with E104 mic, receivers SX101A Helicrafters, and the antennas on 160 meter full wave loop fed with open wire. So very good morning, as I said, all the way around. I wished I had some better military equipment here, but by golly, I guess it all counts. And gee, I'm really pleased to be able to hear net control this morning. There's been a few different times when I was on or tried to get on and did not because of conditions. Under one of those conditions, maybe a month or more ago, the only station that I could hear was VY2WW up there, I believe, in Prince Edward Island. And so that's it. And there's a fellow that I know of that likes to listen. I've never heard him check in. If you're out there listening, Frank, W4FMS out in Michigan, good morning, just in case. So that's all I have, and we'll see what conditions are really like. I haven't had the rig on for all of that long yet. But boy, it's really wonderful to be able to hear net control, which has been like a few years, I think, since I've heard you this well before dawn in the morning. So over to VY2WW with the old military radio net, KD2FO.
Okay, very good. Well, the signals are very good. Everybody I've heard so far this morning, this is VY2WW. You're coming in 15 to 20 over, and Ted is almost 30 over here. So everybody I've heard, even pretty close in here, has been very strong. So we're doing. It's a whole lot different story than it was back in a month ago. I remember that well. That's maybe 6 weeks now. I had almost handled the net for a little while there. Anyway, the really big standoff distance. Well, good morning to all. I don't know who else is here, as I just got up and ran a little bit late this morning. But we're on the normal non-military civilian rig here. the Apache Labs 9200D here. Altoon Alpha running about 275 watts of AM here. And it's feeding a full-size vertical 2-element Yagi pointing your way. So big signals coming in. And I'm just curious to see who gets it next. I don't know. I didn't write down all the calls, and I'm not sure I have the order right. So I'm going to pass it back to you there, Ted. I hope you're copying me okay. W3 Papa Whiskey Whiskey from VY2 Whiskey Whiskey.
Okay, John, very good. VY2WW, W3PWW, annual military radio net. Next station up is KK4GZQ. Then it goes to WA1JUJ. KK4GZQ, go ahead.
Okay, Ted, thanks a lot. W3PWW with the old military radio net. Here's KK4GZQ, Kevin, located about 16 miles southwest of Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm back on the BC610G this morning. 1949 model, serial number 7. They've nicknamed it the Mousetrap. Had the 250TH. Lost my filament on the 250TH that I've been using for the last year in it a day or so ago, and backed up with a new old stock tube that I had here. Anyway, Ted, thanks for running the net this morning. Good morning to each and every one of you, and I copied the station VY2WW there in Prince Edward Island really well here this morning. The band's quiet and everybody sounds good. Ted, I don't know if I'll make it back for another round. I'll listen out. I think I got up too early this morning. Been up for about 2 hours. I'll try to stay in. If you guys turn it back to me on here, I'll pick it up. So thanks for running the net. Good morning, Perry. Good morning all the way down the list to each and every one of you. I'm enjoying listening along here. And we're going to work on the audio on the next step on the 610 here. I hope it doesn't sound too objectionable. W1JUJ to take it. Here's KK4GZQ. How copy?
KK4GZQ from WA1JUJ. Okay, fine, Kevin. This is Kevin in Western Massachusetts. The BC610 is doing pretty well up here this morning. Running the GRC19, and she's putting out about 118 watts. Haven't been doing too much radio over the past week or so. I've been in the process of offboarding at the company here, getting ready for my retirement at the end of the year. Didn't realize I had so much paperwork to leave the company, but I guess they need to make sure that you're giving back all your stuff and not coming to when you leave. So that's the process I've been in over the past week and a half, is getting ready to depart, which I'm looking forward to. Other than that, we had 19 inches of snow last snowstorm last weekend. It's still mostly here. We had a slight inch or so in the storm yesterday. Unfortunately, had to drive through it because I had to go to Boston for a doctor's appointment. But yeah, it was a pretty good storm. Took us 2 days to dig out. It was that two-pronged storm. The first part of it was kind of heavy, wet snow, and then the lighter snow came the next day, so it was kind of hard to get it shoveled and all moved out of here. But it looks like it's going to stick around for a bit. Although I looked at the weather report, and it looks like the middle of next week it's going to get into the 50s. So hopefully that'll get rid of some of it. But the driveway is clear for now, and that's the important part, with no new snow coming that I can see. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Jim. N8ULN from WA1JUJ.
Yeah, okay. This is N8ULN. And we're running an ART-13 this morning. It's the first time I've run this in quite a while. Receiver today is an R648. Same old antenna. So hello to everybody on the net. Most of the guys I'm copying okay. Some of them having a little trouble with. But not too bad, all things considered. And I hope this thing sounds all right. I'm using an amplified D104 for a microphone on this. Everything looks okay on the meter, I guess. But anyway, I won't hold it. I'll keep it moving on here. I don't have a whole lot this morning. Got a gun show this weekend to go to, so I'll probably go to that one day this week and see what happens, I guess. So I think it goes to KD2RHR. Go ahead. This is N8ULN.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. KB3RHR, Craig in Pittsburgh. Well, everybody sounds pretty good right now, but I'm sure that's subject to change at any moment. Good morning. This morning on the 21 Victor 2, the Gasman rig, and but I am listening on an SX28. And since it is Pearl Harbor Day, I think that's pretty good receiver for today. I'm not sure. I never looked at the serial number to see when this one was made, but obviously it's war era. This is a military one. So good morning to everybody. I don't know if I'm going to be around, but I'm going to try. Sitting here drinking a coffee, kicking the fuzz off. So everybody sounds good here this morning. Good to hear everyone. And Ted, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't see who I was supposed to give it to, so I'll turn it back to you, Ted. But good morning to everyone. Over to you, Ted. You can hand it off. That's my fault. I'll copy it down this time. This is KB3RHR, Pittsburgh.
U2JT. Stand by, Joe. Yeah. KB3RHR, W3PWW. Nice signal with us morning. And Jim, your IRT-13 sounds good. I think this is the first time we've heard you have it on the air, so very good with that. The next station up is N1GTY, and Bernie, pass it back to me, please. N1GTY, W3PWW, go ahead.
W3PWW, New Military Radio Net, N1GTY here. Well, sounds like you got quite a net going here. I'm hearing just about everybody. I've got some pretty good noise here this morning. I'm not real sure what it is, but anyway, it is what it is. But most of you guys are coming right over it this morning, so that's a good thing. Anyway, let's see. You're running the ART-13 this morning, listening on the SB600. Use the D104 with a fan dipole. So there you go. Yeah, I've been up for a while. I got on 40-meter sideband earlier this morning, about 3 o'clock I guess it was, and had quite a rag to with a guy in Spain. 40-meter DX is starting to open up pretty good. I didn't get on yesterday afternoon, but I was listening, and JAs were coming in, and in fact, I heard one mobile. It was 5x5, so, you know, pretty good. I was doing the long path, and I had a station in South Korea, so it's starting to open up in Asia a little bit. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, we had, it's about 17 degrees here this morning. Fellow wanted me to help him do some brakes on his truck, on his plow truck, but he didn't want to take the plow off, and so I couldn't get it in on my lift, so we're going to have to do it outdoors, but I told him if it's too damn cold, I ain't doing it. Wind's supposed to come up, so, and I guess wind chill is supposed to be down around 0. I used to do a lot of that outdoor stuff in the winter when I was working, you know, but, yeah. No, I'm not so eager about it anymore as I used to be 20 years ago. Anyway, we'll see what happens there. See what happens. Maybe the weather report was off or something. Doesn't look like it right now, though. Anyway, yeah, I'm hearing about everybody. I don't have all the calls written down, but some are stronger than others, of course, and coming through the noise for the most part. So, there you go. Okay, back to you, Ted. I think I heard another check-in, too, just before, so I might want to listen for that. W3PWW, the old military radio net, N1GTY.
Okay, Ernie, very good. N1GTY, W3PWW, and the old military radio net. Good all around, good signals all around so far. No trouble with copy. And Jim, okay on your ART-13. It sounds good and nice to hear it on. Joe, WA2EJT, go ahead. I heard you check in. Go ahead and make a transmission. Over.
Okay, Ted, this is WA2EJT. Well, I was delighted to find you coming in so well this morning, and other stations over the last 15 minutes or so. Nice conditions here. Well, let's hope they hold up. I'm on my usual ART-13 DC-348 and the AR-24Q fiber. And, well, let's see. I've got a new project that I'm working on, but who knows how the copy's going to hold up, so I'll wait a little bit on that. But it is great to hear you this morning, Ted. And great, well, I've heard 3 ART-13 so far, I think. Jim, Eddie, you, Ellen, I don't believe I've ever heard you on an ART-13 before, so there's one I wasn't aware of. So, again, great to hear you, Ted. Hope you're reading me okay. W3EJT.
Okay, Joe, very good. Yeah, I'm reading you 100%. No problem at all. Nice signal into 7 PA this morning from the ART-13 there. Yeah, I've got to get mine back on the air. I think we need to have an ART-13 day here one of these days, since we're experiencing such good band conditions. I think I'm going to go back up to the top and try to get down to the check-ins again to where we are right now, and get some comments maybe from all the stations that have checked in earlier. So the rotation is going to be AJ1G, W3MMR, KD4UMU, KD3HT, KD2FO, VY2WW, KK4GZQ, WA1JOJ, NULN, KB3RHR, and M1GTY, and back to Joe again, WA2EJP, and then we'll take it up from there. Chris, go ahead, AJ1G, W3PWW, in your military radio net.
Okay, very good, Ted. W3PWW and the old military radio net, AJ1G. Wow, what great conditions this morning. Very, very quiet. And Ted, thanks to your reminiscences of Pearl Harbor. I don't know if there's that many people on frequency who could actually say they can remember that. And certainly there's probably not that many on frequency now, or even alive at that point. I was 11 years away. I was born in 1952. And my dad was, he was a little young. He didn't graduate high school till 1947, so he was not active in the military in World War II. Diane's dad was. He started out as a merchant mariner at the age of 17 and made Treamer Manx runs, and then ended up in the Armed Guard as providing Navy protection to merchant ships and convoys. So he spent his entire war in convoys, and amazingly enough, lived to tell the tale. He had three other brothers. Two of them ended up in the Navy, and amazingly enough, all the three of the guys in the Navy managed to meet up in Panama one time. All three of their ships ended up in Panama, and they found each other in the bars. I guess my father-in-law and one of the brothers met one night, and the next night they went out and they met the other two. And that is a true story. It ended up in the Providence Journal. And their other brother, who advised all the other guys not to wait to be drafted to enlist in the Navy. He was in the Army, and he was lost Christmas Eve 44. It'll be 75 years this year. When his troop ship heading to the battleship, or the Battle of the Bulge, carrying troops to the Battle of the Bulge, was torpedoed off Cherbourg on Christmas Eve, right about dusk, 1944. And quite a few New England people were on that ship. The SS Leopoldville is a Belgian liner that was converted to a troop ship. And there's also a Stonington boy on that ship. His name is on a plaque here in town. And my two granddads, one was he was in World War I. He was in the Signal Corps in World War I, stringing phone lines over in France. He's the one who gave me the C.H. Scott 55 years ago. And my dad's dad, he worked in the war industries and worked for Federal Radio and Telephone, who made the transmitters for the 167 BYs used on the convoy ships, on the Victory ships and the Liberty ships, and also worked for Arcturus Tube Corporation in Newark, New Jersey. So that was my connection to the war effort. And my dad was actually in the stationed in Germany. I was born in '52. So anyhow, back to band conditions. I pulled up seeing how quiet the band is. I pulled up a lightning map on lightningmap.org, and the only significant cluster of lightning in the whole world right now is just to the northwest of New Zealand. and there's a couple of little things going on down in the Columbia Central area. There's so few strikes. I was, made a little game of listening for a lightning strike and see how see what lit up on the lightningmaps.org shortly thereafter, and I could actually tell that a particular lightning strike was coming from New Zealand or down in South America. It was pretty cool, but very unusual band conditions, very stable propagation and low noise. We don't get any better than this, I guess. And let's see. I'm on a new microphone here. I'm on a D104, a bunch of D104s on frequency, and I'm running the D104 straight into the Central Electronics 20A and 600L. And it's apparently gotten very favorable reports. Frank Perry's dad recommended I do that, and I'm glad he did. I forgot I even had this thing, or it even worked. I thought I converted to an electret element, but it does have the original brush element. I did have to reverse the phase on the element, and that seems to have helped as well. So over to you, Perry, and everyone's really just booming in very, very good signals here. W3MMR and the old military radio net, AJ1G.
AJ1G and the old MILRAD military radio net, W3MMR. Get on a little bit more on frequency there. That should be a little better. Well, good morning, everyone. Name here's Perry. Papa Echo Romeo Yankee, located in Chester, Pennsylvania, 7 miles southwest of the city of Philadelphia. Running a Heathkit DX100 this morning, restored and modified by myself with a D104, and listening on a National NC303 that's also been restored with the matching NTS2 speaker. A nice new full-range speaker in it. So everybody sounds great coming in the old National this morning. Everybody's Q5 copy, real big signals. Everybody's at least 15 to 20 over here this morning. Just want to say good morning to you, Kevin. My buddy down there on the Mousetrap sounding real good this morning, man. And Craig, KB3RHR sounding phenomenal as well. Good morning to you, John, VY2WW. Sounding good from PIE this morning. Good to hear you in here again. I don't think you were in here last week. It might have been one of the weeks you weren't in here, but it's great to hear you again. John always sounded good on the SDR, the Anon. Not too much going on here. Just I was mentioning earlier, and I'm sure some of you have heard. It might sound like a broken record now. My son's coming up for Christmas. He's 8, and he lives with his mother down in Charleston, South Carolina. And I just found out that his mother's going to let him fly up here by himself right after Christmas, from the 26th to the 30th. So he'll be flying up by himself, and I'm sure he's pretty excited about that. Hopefully he's excited as I am, because it's always done to get to see him, 3 or 4 times a year, unfortunately. But the time I do get to see him, I cherish it and make the most of it. So really looking forward to that. So that really made my Christmas holiday. So anyway, I'm going to say 7-3, guys. It's been real fun here this morning. Great band conditions. The past couple weeks have been absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, everybody's coming in here real great, and everybody sounds real good on the old military rigs this morning. And here on Pearl Harbor Day. And Ted, real quick, I love sitting back and listening to what you were saying. How you remember Pearl Harbor Day almost like it was yesterday. 10 years old, sitting there listening to the old Philco radio when the breaking news came across. That's I was really enjoying that, Ted. So take care, guys. 7-3. If we don't talk to some of you before the Christmas holiday, which I hope I will, but hope you guys have a great holiday and a great New Year as well. And it goes over to you, Dan, if you're still in there. KD4 UMU down there in Kentucky from W3MMR. 7-3, guys.
All right, yeah, still got a nice copy on you, Perry. Band getting a few little fades in it up and down, but still holding in quite nicely. Yeah, that was. Of course, I'm sure everybody's heard the story. Where the Japanese didn't want to actually put feet on the ground and invade the United States back then. You know, they thought that every American was hiding behind a tree with a gun, and they were probably right, you know. And even more so today, you know. We're definitely a well-armed militia, no doubt about that. We'll need to be formed up, boy. There'd be no trouble at all. Definitely lots of stored weapons in the country, and the people on them. Good thing. And that reminded me of when I was active duty in the military. It was somewhere back in the late 80s, early 90s. You know, down towards the end of the Cold War era, and I was stationed at Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina, and of course, you know, they had set it up so that the Russians could come down, and some of the high-ranking officials from the military could come down and, you know, look at our F-16 aircraft and all that kind of stuff, and they were out there taking them around and all of that, and it didn't seem as though they were too interested in the aircraft. Of course, they probably already knew all about it, you know. But what they were more interested in was the number of cars in the field. You know, you take 3 full active squadrons of F-16s, and you put them side by side, and you take all the maintenance men that come in and come to work and all that, you know, the active duty military guy. That's a lot of cars in the parking lot. And he was wondering who owned all of the cars in the parking lot. And of course, you know, they told him, said, well, you know what, the vast majority of that belonged to our enlisted guys. He said, really? He said, and they come to work? So we kind of got, we all got a little chuckle off the bench, you know. At that time and point, we were an our volunteer force, you know, so, you know, we weren't conscripted to go in and do what we were doing, you know. So anyway, that's one of the huge differences between our military and what they got over there. So anyway, just a little humorous anyway. Ted, I guess I'm going to go ahead and make this my last as well. And certainly have enjoyed the net this morning. There's great signals coming into Shepherdsville, Fort Knox area this morning. So we'll send it around to Steve. And Steve, you know, with all of the radios that you have in your shack over there, man, you could light the filaments on all that and probably cook some biscuits in the shack there. Man, that produces a lot of heat. So you got a lot of radios there. Got a pretty good collection going. Steve, pick it up. KD3 HT from KD4UMU.
Yeah, okay, Dan, very good. KD4UMU and the old military radio net, KD3HT. Good morning to the other people that have checked in. Everybody has a great signal here. Even Ernie, you were light at the beginning, but your signal came up as you were speaking. And Joe, you've had a good signal in here from your check-in throughout your transmission. And everyone else is just very loud, very, very strong in here, probably between 20 and 30 over. So, and Dan, you're no exception. Sounded real good up here. And yeah, if I don't know how many radios I could fire up before I'd blow a fuse. But yeah, it would be very hot in here. I kind of, sorry about the ums today. I got the ums. But when creating the room, I insulated it on all the walls and ceilings, so the heat actually stays in here. So it can get pretty hot. I often have the window open in the winter to get some cooling effect. But that's not a bad thing. And those pictures that you see there, there's actually more radios since then, so I need to update those, and you'll get a better idea. But as Jim WA2MER was here this week, and he said, the pictures don't do it justice. It looks a lot bigger when you, and then when you come in, it's like you're surrounded by stuff, which is kind of what I wanted. So, very good. Yeah, and we can go back and look at it, but it's nothing like the effect that it had on the people of the day when the attack happened in Pearl Harbor. And Ted, I don't think any of us can imagine, what it meant, and it meant different things to different people too. So, we can just hopefully learn from it and move on. And that 4 years must have felt like an eternity. At least from looking at it at a historical point of view, it does. And I've lost a lot of friends that had first-hand recollections of it, and try to never forget their comments. So, good group. I'll keep it moving, and we'll hopefully get to hear everybody further down the log here a few more times today. So, Don, I guess it's going to you, KD2FO. Down in Virginia, KD3HT. Over.
Yeah, I guess it's going to me. KD3HT and the old military radio net. This is KD2FO. I don't know what you're using for a transmitter, but you're probably running a T368 this morning, as you do many times. Everybody on the net realizes that it's another good military rig. I wish they owned one. And conditions are exceptional. My goodness gracious. And I haven't been that way the last couple of weeks if I'd known. If I had the option to get out of the sack here early enough on these occasions, it would have been good to do. Oh, I got a little bit of a little bit of noise here. I think I got the microphone head on this D104 is a little bit of looseness, even though it's screwed tightly to the push-to-talk stand. Anyhow, December 7th, 1941, a day which will live in infamy, to quote our president at that time. The announcement of that, and I never happened to hear them so precisely, but was very likely listened to by my grandparents on their 1938 Philco console radio with electrodynamic speaker, which when they were through with it, and back in the 1960s came along, I was using that as my first radio receiver for ham radio. An old Philco model 645 with a pair of push-pull 45s in the audio output, 80 rectifier, and I think a couple of 78s in there, something like all 5-pin tubes, except for the rectifier was a 4. Great radio, worked as well as anything modern. Vacuum tube through the ear of my 101A. Here's a much better, of course, communications receiver, but that thing lacked DFO, and that's all. And it lacked an easy way to mute it for transmission either. But when that day occurred, and it lived in infamy, my father enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and served in the Pacific Theater in World War II. And his platoon got killed. I know that. He was badly injured and ended up in the Naval Hospital at Jacksonville, Florida. And what could I tell you? Those were tough days for our nation and the world. I've been recently watching some stuff about the European action with the Nazis and Hitler, and I don't know know what to say. Steve there said something or other about, when things were over, well, it's just a day of not, to look back, not to have to look back on if we can help it. I forget how you said that. It's a common expression. But we've gone so far in history now that we've got a bunch that are trying to take that well-formed, well-armed militia away from us with the amendment, as you know. And I can't help but be violently, forgive me, I'm not a violent person, but rather harshly against that group and the political people. And I do know some good old boys here in Virginia who've told me that they are armed and they don't want to mess with us, quote unquote. Meaning anybody that might attack our country. The people like the Japanese who thought, well, they'll probably find a weapon behind every picket fence, is what was being referred to a few minutes ago, and that's what I'm referring to. They outside enemies and whoever is a problem, God forbid. We certainly don't want those things. None of us do. Forgive me before I put my mouth in it too much further. Sorry about that. But that old Philco radio is something that I've had fond memories of all my life. My usage of it with ham radio. Pull it out of its wooden cabinet and it sat on the operating table. Nice, compact, much smaller unit than some of the stuff that we commonly have used in the boat anchor era. Victor Yankee 2, WW up there on Prince Edward and the old military net, KD2.
Okay, very good. KB2FO down in Virginia in the old military radio net, VY2WW up here in frosty Prince Edward Island, where we got a good little bit of snow on the ground here left over from last Saturday's nor'easter. Surprise nor'easter. And enjoyed the comments. Signals are great. Just everybody's 10, 20 over. Some people are 30 over. 100% copy every single station. Very, very, including the guys away out there in Kentucky and so forth, Ohio. Still coming in real well up here in PEI. And, Pearl Harbor Day. Yeah, of course, I was not born. My dad was in high school, or perhaps junior high. I don't know what they called it back then. He joined the Navy in late 44, early 45, and went through training and ended up on a carrier that never saw action. The war was over in Japan. My mom's brothers, I think, all served, except maybe one, maybe a lot of them, in World War II. Made it through, interestingly. Anyway, it's very interesting being the military radio net and having some people here that could actually speak of experiencing those events. It won't be the same way talking about things like when the day Kennedy was shot. I remember that one. And just a kid. And also, of course, 9/11. That'll be one of those the people don't forget for similar reasons in all cases, all three. Enough radios. Yes, boy, you guys all with all the big old iron are doing a good job in here. It's I have to keep it fairly short with this this linear amplifier stuff, so I don't overheat things and stress them. But the Alpha's pretty well made. It'll handle a little buzzard. It just won't handle the big old buzzard transmission. So I'm not positive, but I think I might send it to Kevin. If that's not right, jump in there and fix it, Ted. KK4GZQ and the old military radio net, VY2WW.
KK4GZQ, go ahead.
Yeah, I think he said he was going to be one and done.
Oh, okay. Good. Guess I missed that. Next up, WA1JUJ, go ahead.
W3PWW from WA1JUJ. Okay, fine, Ted. Hearing everybody very well this morning. Good to hear the signals. A lot less noise than last weekend. As I said earlier, I'm in my onboarding process for retirement here, and one of the interesting things I'm dealing with is having to replace all of my company-supplied electronics. For the past X years, I've had a company-supplied cell phone, iPad, laptop, printer, all that stuff. And I've had some major sticker shock trying to replace some of it, to finding out that I can't replace all of it. I could never afford to buy the high-end stuff that the company supplies. So I've got to do something here relatively quickly because I've got to move what files and, folders and things I have off the company supplied equipment because I've got to turn it in 2 Fridays from now before I lose all of that stuff. So major sticker shop, shopping around, didn't find anything on Black Friday that looked like it was going to work. So that's a major task for the next week, so I can save all of my pictures and files and everything else. Other than that, not too much radio stuff going on, just listening here. Good to hear the conversations about Pearl Harbor. So with that, I'll pass it out to you, Jim. N-A-U-L-N from WA1JUJ.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, okay, Ted. W3PWW and the old military radio net from NAULN. I wasn't sure if you turned it over to me or not. But anyway, hearing most of you guys pretty good. Except whoever turned it to me, I didn't catch too much of it. But anyway, we're still here. Yeah, Ted, I've had this ART-13 for a while. Like I said, I don't use it a whole lot. There was one morning, it's been a few years back, that we had an ART-13 day, and I had it on for that. And it's been on, I think, way back when, gosh, I don't know how many years ago it was, but we were on 160 for a while. I think we were up in 1945 or something like that. I think I had it on there a few times, but yeah, it's been here for a while. Okay, all the Second Amendment stuff, and of course I agree with all that. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, my dad was in World War II. He was in the Army Air Force, and he played around with B-17s, B-24s, B-25s. And I guess when the first B-29s started to come into service, he did a lot of work on them, making them flyable, and I guess they had problems with engine fires and stuff like that. But new calls out there. So again, my name is Jim, Juliet, India, Mexico, and we're located in Worcester, Ohio, which is about 60 miles south of Cleveland, running an ART-13, R648 for a receiver, and the same old inverted V at about 45 feet. So I'll go ahead and make this my final. I'll listen out here for a while. I got to get some stuff done here this morning. So good to hear everybody. Most of you fellas are coming in pretty good. So Ted, I'll give it back to you. Paul and Og, I guess I do. I think I do know who it goes to. I think it's KD3RHR and the old military radio net. This is NAULN. 7-3, guys. Catch you later.
Yeah, okay, Jim, 73. W3PWW, the old military radio net, KD3RHR, Craig, West Findlay, Pennsylvania. And Ted, if you let me, I'm a warmonger from way back. So here's the numbers, guys. From December 7th, 1941, 2,403 American personnel killed, 1,178 wounded. We lost 6 ships and 169 planes. As a side note, the Japanese trained 1 year for this operation that happened today in 1941. The Jap flew 6 carriers, 420 planes, and 180 planes for each wave. The Japanese losses were 29 aircraft, 5 of the midget submarines, and 129 Japanese were killed. Just so you know, on a side note, that this is the 3rd deadliest day in the history up to this point. 3rd deadliest day in American history. Number 1 was Antietam. 23,000 American lives lost. Number 2, September 11th, the beginning of the War on Terror. 3,000 American lives lost. And Pearl Harbor followed number 3 with 2,403 guys lost. So there's the numbers, boys. Big impact, changed the world forever. So, and I can't concur more. There was nothing between Hawaii and mainland USA to stop the Japanese, other than the possible threat of good old American guerrilla warfare. So, and speaking of that, Ted, I'm going to get out of here because it's guerrilla warfare in the backyard. It's the first Saturday of antler deer season, so I'm going to take my Second Amendment rifle out back and see if I can find one of the big ones. So good to hear you all, and great to be in here. Great conditions, no noise whatsoever. So that's the dope, boys. KB3RHR in Pittsburgh over to N1JTY. This is 33 guys.
KW1I.
Okay, Craig, very good. Thanks for the information. They're very interesting. And good luck on the hunting there. Next up, N1GTY, WA2EJT, and KW1I. N1GTY, Ernie, go ahead.
WCPWW, the old graveyard net, N1GTY. Okay, I wasn't sure if I had it there. Anyway, yeah, let's see, Craig, very interested on the numbers on Pearl Harbor Day. I forgot to mention that last time around. Yeah, my family was, of course it was before me. I wasn't born until 48, so. But anyway, my dad, he quit high school to go in the Navy. Served with Halsey. But it was later on in the war. I guess he was at Tokyo Bay when they signed the surrender, so that was kind of interesting. And I had a couple of uncles. One was in England, the other one was somewhere in Europe. He didn't make it back, and I guess he volunteered for some special mission or something, and that was it. But anyway, let's see, Wife's father was in European theater there. He was in the Rangers. He was at the Battle of the Bulge. And made it. And made it. So, anyway, must have been quite a thing. I've seen combat, but nothing like World War II, that's for sure. So those guys are America's heroes right there. Anyway, what else? I don't know. Still hearing everybody. It's a little bit noisy here. John, I think you was the loudest, VY2WW, so the band must be shortening up a little bit here. And anyway, I've got to jump out of here and get my day started. So, could be an interesting day. I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens. Gotta get a little breakfast. It might be a long one. So anyway, we're gonna jump out of here. Good to hear everybody this morning. Signals are pretty good for the most part. Like I said, I had some noise here. I think it's local, but still heard everybody. So band's pretty good. And Ted, I missed who you said to turn it to here. My list is so screwed up here that it's unbelievable. It may have been Kevin. Anyway, I think it was Kevin. I don't know. Anyway, no, you've been, I don't know. Ted, take it. I got the list all messed up. W3PWW in the old military radio net, N1GTY, 730.
Yeah, 7-3, Ernie. That's the signal down here this morning. Okay, next up is WA2EJT and KW1I, then back to net control. WA2EJT, W3PWW. Go ahead there, Joe.
Okay, Ted, this is WA2EJT. Amazingly enough, I've copied everyone in the entire rotation. So, exceptional conditions here this morning, and great to be able to hear all of these military rates. Let's see, I only want to comment that I've been working on, a continuing project of working on documenting rebuilding capacitors in receivers. And I thought I was all done with that, but I wanted a couple of pictures that I'm not happy with, so I'm opening up yet another one of the receivers and rebuilding another one at least of the capacitors. Probably end up doing the whole thing. And let's see, it's 20 minutes past the hour. I'll be leaving at 6:45. So depending on the old buzzard index and new check-ins and so on, I might or might not be here for another round. But great to hear you, Ted, and I hope it's not too long until you get your ART-13 repaired and back on the air. The ART-13 I'm using here is one that I got from Ted years ago after the one I had been using was flooded, and I let it go. So there's that. And Dale, you were loud and clear here, so I imagine you're copying me okay. KW1I in the old military net, WA2EJT. Go ahead, Dale.
Okay, Joe, WA2EJT and the old military radio net. This is KW1I, Dale in Bow, New Hampshire, just south of Concord, and about 50 miles, less than 50 miles from the coast of Atlantic Ocean. And we're on the World War II Collins TDO 2813s modulated by 2805s. And very interesting in the observance and remarks about Pearl Harbor attack. I've done a lot of reading about that, but I was fortunate enough to work in Hawaii for about 7 months back. I think it was like 1969, and I actually worked on Ford Island. And I'd go to work in the morning and park the car at Pearl Harbor, and then wait for a Navy launch. And all of the people that were going out at that particular time, it ran on a 15-minute basis or something like that, taking people out to Ford Island. And there was a particular a building that I was a rep for a General Electric company. We were putting a training facility there. But we would dock right where the Missouri is docked now, and we would see off on the way over there off the starboard as we docked there, the Arizona Monument. And there was I wish I was more curious and walked around Ford Island, because things were not totally cleared up even after 30 years. I mean, there were some things that were behind buildings and in the shallow water and things like that. So I can't remember them too clearly, but it was neat to be there for the 7 months, and I guess at one point in time they have a ferry, and I remember going over in the ferry once, but
those Navy launches, which I think were World War II vintage, to tell you the truth, were really neat. And of course, there was warships in there. For a young guy in field engineering, I really was excited to be at Pearl Harbor and working on Ford Island and thinking the historic nature of it all. Okay, it's about 17 degrees here. And it's still dark, and we're starting the wood fire. So back to you, Ted. Good signal this morning from all the stations, and we haven't heard all of them yet, but we'll be in for another round, I'm sure. W3PWW. This is KW1I on the TDO.
Yeah, stand by, DMX. Get right to you. KW1I, W3PWW in the old military radio, and that's a very good deal. And nice on the information there on Pearl Harbor. Yeah, my dad was too old for World War II. He almost got in World War I, actually. And I think he was almost getting ready to be drafted, and war ended, so he missed that. Had two cousins in World War II. One was an armed guard in the armed guard on a victory ship, and the other was in the Maryland National Guard, the 29th Division, in a local guard unit in his hometown. So of course, they got activated, and he wound up going ashore during D-Day, and the other cousin there was offshore in a victory ship. I guess he didn't know that his brother there was going ashore while he was waiting offshore in the victory ship, ready to unload supplies. So that was a story there on that. Okay, down the end of the list. This is W3PWW standing by for any check-ins for the old military radio. Anybody wishing to join, please call now.
WB3CTC.
W2D.
W1FYO.
Okay, I have W4HWT and W1FYO. I know there's a lot more, so spread them out a little bit, guys, and I'll stand by for you right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me say it one more time. JMK Norway.
Whiskey 3, Foxtrot, Juliet, Juliet.
WU2D. I'll have WD8DMX, W1FYO, W4HWT, not in that order, and W2D, off hearing those stations. Anyone else, please call now. Over.
W9JMK.
W3FWW. Recognized. Anyone else? Over.
Radio must not be working right. W9JMK.
Okay, I have W4HWT, W1FYO, WD8DMX, W2D, and W3 Foxtrot Whiskey Whiskey, W3FWW. Anyone else?
W9JMK, trying.
W9JMK. Anyone else? Over. I have KD3 Delta question mark, over. KD3 Delta question mark. Give me rest or call, over. Okay, looks like that's another big list. Okay, W4HWT, W1FYO, WD8DMX, W2D, W3 Foxtrot, W3FWW, W9GMK, and the KD3 station there. I did not get the rest of this call, but I'll pick up the ones we got here. W4HWT, go ahead, John.
Okay, Ted, good morning. W3PWW in the old military radio. This is John, W4HWT in North Carolina, Snow Camp in North Carolina. Sorry I'm checked in late, Ted. We overslept this morning, and so I apologize for that. I'll make this short since you got a big long list here, but I'll just sign in and comment and sign out and then listen to everybody else. I imagine by the time you get through the list of the round, it'll probably be about time to shut the net down anyway. But good morning, and my comment, the CW net for me last Sunday night was horrendous with the QRM. We had stations on, and as well as the digital signals. They were on. It was pretty horrific conditions there. But anyway, we're doing okay on this end, and I apologize for being late. Run the BC610E and the 314 speed champ and 390A receiver. And I'll move on down the line outside on this one, and hope to catch you tomorrow night, Ted, on the CW net. W1FYO, I believe it is, to take it next, and the W4HWT and the old military radio net standing by, and I'm signing out but listening. Over.
W4HWT, W1FYO. Good morning to the old military radio net. Good signals here. Conditions are probably exceptional. I haven't heard it this good in a long time. Name here is Bob, and I'm located in Windsor, Vermont, running a BC457 ARC-V, and running about 50 watts out. Listening to everybody on an LMAC mobile receiver, PMR6A, and I do have an S-meter on it, but really not a very accurate one. The temperature out here is about 11 degrees. Pretty chilly out there, and got some snow. So good to hear everybody on. Like I said, the conditions are excellent this morning, and not even hearing any skip. So I hope it stays this way for the duration of the seasons. So I'm going to turn it over to the next station. There's quite a crowd here, and don't want to hold it up too long, so I'll turn it over to, I hope I got the call right, W8BMX. This is W1FYO, the old military radio net.
WD8DMX, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. One out there on the old-time military net. Good morning, you, Ted. I'm WD8DMX. Well, I tell you what, guys, it's been a rough weather down over here. I tell you, woke up here with a terrible head cold this morning, up in the cooling area. Picked up some radio parts and stuff, and got back home. I tell you, yesterday I felt so comfortable and stuff. But everybody's talking pretty well. The OTR4C Drake is working pretty well with the L2B, and everybody did pretty well there on this end for sure. Ted, good to hear from you there. It's been a minute since we got a chance to come out and pray for everybody. A lot of stations in North Carolina coming in pretty well there for sure this morning there. Just want to say good morning to all out there. Welcome to the weekend, and hope we have a beautiful blessed day. Delta Mike X-ray. Over to you, Ted.
Okay, thanks for checking in this morning. Great signal in here this morning. Really strong. Next up, W2D. Go ahead, Mike. Whiskey Uniform 2 Delta. Go ahead.
K3HVG.
Yeah, stand by, Jeep. One more time, W2D, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everybody. WU2D up here in Manchester, New Hampshire, and there was a nice mobile station that tried to check in. I did not catch the call, but plenty clear on the call up. Must have got into a gap there because there were quite a few stations calling. Working on an ARC 5 this morning for somebody in Georgia. I had a wonderful surprise this week. This guy from Georgia, who is a painter, actually sent a beautiful hand-painted rendition of a BC 348 and an ARC 5 in black crackle, all in sort of a style that would represent images from the turn of the 20th century with the Impressionists. It's a very cool painting, and I will put that up on AM Film for those of you who would like to see an artist's rendition of some of this old equipment. So that's what's going on here. Anyway, I'm sending him down an ARC 5 as a present, so I'm just prepping that, getting it ready to go. W3PWW from WU2D.
Yeah, okay, Mike, very good. That's